Maybe more than any other week so far, this upcoming Saturday and Sunday will offer a glimpse into what to expect the remainder of the football season for both LSU and the Saints. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Can LSU surprise the upstart, unbeaten Texas A&M Aggies and get themselves back into playoff contention before their bye week? Then Alabama, the second Saturday of November. Can Spencer Rattler have a rebound game and hold off Tyler Shuck? Can Devin Neal grab hold of his opportunity as the clear number 2 running back? And can this Saints defense get at MVP candidate Baker Mayfield and this banged-up Tampa Bay Bucs team? What about the Pelicans? They have some breaking news this morning before they take on Wemby and the San Antonio Spurs. Oh, and most importantly, can the Pick'em crew have yet another winning week? What are we waiting for? We don't have all day. But we do have the Dattitude podcast, and it's up next.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is. Or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? Evangeline Securities can help you with the rest of your life. We've got this weekend here at Dattitude. That's right. What does this weekend have in store? I have a feeling there are some surprises coming up 1 week before Halloween. Maybe we'll get our tricks and treats this week. What could those surprises be? One thing we're not surprised about is that this is Dattitude, episode number 432, presented by our aforementioned friends at Evangeline Securities for a Friday, October the 24th, 2025. I'm your host. If you're new here, you're like, what's going on? What's going on? I'm wearing long sleeves for the first time this year. Walked outside. I'm like, what's going on? It's a little chilly out there this morning, so it's a little chilly in the studio. I'm sure that will change very, very soon, but we got our long sleeves on. We're ready to go. I'm Jim Derry, 35 years in the New Orleans sports media scene. I thank you for being a part of the Dat family. We got a lot to talk about this morning. So many topics. I'm going to tell you what's on the show in just a second. But first, I will tell you, what's most special about our show? If you're new here, again, you can be a part of today's episode, and every episode we do, we're live usually every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time. I'm going to tell you why I said usually, because next week will not be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll tell you about that in a minute. If you're watching, that's why you have to subscribe to the YouTube page and click the little bell. Then you don't have to remember when it is. YouTube will tell you. If you're watching after the fact or listening to on any of the major podcast platforms, you know how to get in touch with me on X at Jim Derry Jr. via email at jderry@theadvocate.com. There are other ways. You can find me on Facebook if you so desire, whatever it is. Some of you have my cell phone number. I'm not giving that out on the air, although it probably wouldn't be all that hard to find. Anyway, it used to be on the tail of my stories way back in the day, and I figured that probably wasn't a good idea, and I changed it. But anyway, here we are. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. All right, a lot to talk about this morning. Let me take a sip. I'm a little verklempt. I'm so excited about our Pick'em segment today. We actually have we don't have any crossfires, but we have one, and I'll let the two guys down there, I'll let them guess. We have one like pick. I have picked the same thing as someone else, and as I do each week, when they send me their picks, I just click the little thumbs up emoji. I make sure I don't look at them. And then I do my own picks. When I do the pick slide, I do my picks first, and then I type theirs in. So I don't know what theirs are. And it came out that there is a pick, either Big Nick and me or Gabe and I have a similar pick. We'll try to figure it out later. That's coming up later. Breaking news on the Pelicans in just a minute or two. Damon Singleton with the weather at 11:20. I know most of you, I think, enjoy the segment. Tells us what the weather is going to be like. It is different. It's not like the summer. This is not a summer weather segment. It is going to be different this weekend, and it's actually one that if you're going to either game, if you're going to LSU and or the Saints on Saturday and or Sunday, you need to pay attention to what Damon's got to say because it is different. Also, there is some major breaking weather news coming in the near future. You might have to wear a jacket, boy. Breaking news. You might have to wear a jacket for Halloween. That's right. What are you talking about? What are you going to be? 78 degrees? No, we're talking about like, I know up here in Mandeville, it's supposed to be, it might be in the 40s in the evening on Halloween night. It's going to be chilly. So anyway, we talk about that. Our segment is a little bit shorter than usual. Damon coming up at 11:20. Zach Ewing coming up about 11:30, 11:35 as we preview the Saints and LSU, and I will ask him all the questions that I had in my open about LSU. To me, this is one of two things can happen. And if you're an LSU fan, you really need to worry, because to me, if they lose this game, things could just spiral into an abyss. If they win, it could rejuvenate them. And I mean, I'm not saying get them back in the playoff race. I think they need to do more than just win one against Texas A&M, obviously. I mean, they need to win out to get in the playoff. But I think this could change their attitude, their mental focus, or whatever you want to call it, heading into the bye week. This is, you never want to lose a game, of course. But to me, if they win this game, it could change a lot of things. And I think that this is the most important. I mean, I guess the next game on your schedule is always the most important. But if you look at the schedule and where they are and what has happened so far, had they won last week, I probably wouldn't say this is the most important game on the schedule. It's important. But now that they lost last week, I think this now becomes the most important game of the season. They have got to go into the bye week with a win again, or I think things could spiral. It could be a problem. So we'll talk to Zach about that. Saints, all the things we talked about. Is this the first game that Spencer Rattler has real pressure on him as far as holding on to his job? I don't think there's really been much pressure on him until now. What will we see there? Will that change anything? I don't know. We'll ask Zach what he thinks. Devin Neal, I'm excited to see him about him getting an opportunity to be. I think he's going to get an extended opportunity, by the way. I think you're going to see Devin Neal with like maybe 8 to 10 carries. They have got to, just like we talk about seeing Shuck or seeing Rattler or whatever. I think it's the same thing in running back. I think you have to know at running back. Can Devin Neal be that potential number 2? What happens if Alvin Kamara leaves? Does Kendre Miller next year become the anointed number 1, or do they try to go? Anyway, we're going to talk about running back. We're going to talk a lot about offense. And then on the defensive side, Baker's already said he hates the Saints. He's trying to make this a rivalry. Is it a rivalry? Well, I will say this, it's not much of a rivalry as of late. We'll show you the slide, talk about the series. And I know it's usually Zach doesn't care about a series, so to speak. He doesn't care about the past, but I know he does about this one. This one's different, especially when you're talking about a division opponent and you look back again, and we're going to get to that series slide in just a minute. Lot to talk about. And then, of course, the NBA saga. We may get in more into that next week, and y'all all know what I'm talking about. Chauncey Billups and all the mess going on in the legal troubles, the FBI investigation into the NBA, and we're going to get into it maybe more next week. And honestly, I'd rather follow this and see what. I don't have enough information to form an opinion yet. Okay, I know that's what talking heads do. In the grand scheme of things, I guess I'm a talking head, but I'm not ready to make an opinion on this. We're probably not going to talk about a lot about it here. I'm probably not going to take any comments on it today. I mean, if you want to comment and y'all talk about it amongst yourselves, then fine. But we're probably not going to spend a whole lot. First of all, I don't have enough time to talk about it today. That's probably a whole show kind of thing. And I'm just not ready to talk about it. But I will say this before we move on from it. If this is just the tip of the iceberg, as we hear that it could be, this could be a bigger story than Pete Rose in sports history later. It could be a bigger story than even, dare I say it, the Black Sox scandal. I think that's how big this could be. I'm not saying it is. Again, I need more information. I need to be able to read about this and look into this. But again, I just don't think we have enough time to really dive. It's not something you can talk about for 5 minutes. Okay, it's something you either spend 45 minutes to an hour talking about, or you don't talk about it at all, in my opinion. And so that's I wanted to acknowledge that I know that it exists, but that's probably as far in the weeds I'm going to get into it, because I don't like to talk about things that I don't have a strong opinion about and don't know enough about. And I don't know enough about this, so I'm not going to talk about it just yet. So anyway, and I just spent 2 minutes talking about it. Last night, real quick, the Chargers whooped up on the Vikes. Our streak continues. I'm telling you, and I say this every show, and I say it for a reason. If you're not paying attention to our Monday night and Thursday night picks, then you're missing out. Okay, we go from the betting scandal to talk about betting. I will say this though, and we said this before we started. People who don't like betting and say, "You see," I am going to say this: if it weren't for legal betting, okay. If it weren't for legal sports betting, what came out yesterday would never have been found out. Just saying. But as far as legal betting goes, I'm telling you, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, we've been hot. I mean, like super hot. I don't remember the last Thursday night game we got wrong. Gabe, you remember the last Thursday night game we got wrong? It'd be like 4 weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago. So anyway, check that out. But we got a lot to get to here, rest of the show. And before we do all that, I want to tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they're a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. If that's you or someone you know, it's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden and Ron Hemelt. They will start by scheduling a complimentary valuation from their offices either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. From there, you'd be well-informed and begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. What happens after that? We'll fill you in more later in the show. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. I know Nick Braden is fired up about the Pelicans. We are going to talk just a few minutes about the Pelicans before we get to Damon Singleton and the weather this morning. And I'm going to get to some comments for breaking news. Pelicans signed free agent center DeAndre Jordan to a 1-year, $3.6 million deal. How big is that? Well, you know, the Pels are super thin in the front court, as we saw. We knew that already. How much is this going to help? I mean, what are you going to do? It's not like you had a lot of options this time of year. So DeAndre Jordan, 1 year, $3.6 million. He is 37 years old in his 18th season. He played on the 2023 champion Denver Nuggets team. Again, the Pels are super thin there. They don't, Yves Missi is he's banged up, and I mean, honestly, he's not ready to take on the kind of time that the Pels are going to need their starting center to take on. Derek Queen looked lost, in my opinion. Hunter Dickinson, he's a third string, whatever he is. So, look, Pels need help there. Jordan averaged double-digit boards from 2013-14 with the Clippers through the 2019-20 season with Brooklyn. Goes to show you where he is in his career. I mean, he was fantastic as a defensive player and in those years. But now, 5-6 years later, he's been averaging about 13, 14 minutes a game the last 4 or 5 years. He's played for the Clippers, Mavs, Knicks, Nets, Lakers, Sixers, and Nuggets, and now will be the Pelicans. Last season, 56 games he played in. He had 5.1 rebounds per game and a career low last year, 3.7 points per game. So he's not going to score a lot of points, but hopefully he will be able to get in there and spell you. And honestly, when we don't know how, Misi's questionable, but I got to be honest, I don't think he's going to play tonight. Who's going to stop Wemby, by the way? The Pels are 4.5-point underdogs in their home opener tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. And you take a look at the schedule. Next up, we've got the next 7 games up after tonight. And you know what you see? A lot of road games. Not only do you see a lot of road games, you see a lot of tough road games. Okay. After tonight, 6 of the next 8 are on the road. And one of the home games is Monday night against the Boston Celtics. So it's not exactly easy. You go to at Denver, the 2023 champ. You go to at OKC on November 2nd, champ. At the Clippers, at Dallas, which is much improved, and then you get to play San Antonio again on November the 8th. It is not an easy road to start the season for this New Orleans Pelicans. And I saw a lot of people picking the over 40.5 wins, and I don't know. Again, are we going to have a start similar to what we had, a few years ago? Man, I don't know. Cedric Bolo says, good morning. Like the Pelicans team, but they need to learn how to play 4 quarters of basketball. I mean, look, it's one game, and I get it, but it's the same thing we've been talking about with this Pelicans team. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to get to a lot of we're going to talk a little bit about Pelicans here in the open. Probably won't talk a whole lot about them as we go along. If you got a comment on it, we may. But that's, we'll see. What else we got in the comment stream? We got about 5 minutes left until we get to Damon and talk about our weather. And speaking of weather, Gary says, good morning. A beautiful day in North Baton Rouge. Kyle says we need Wembanyama at tight end for the Saints. Boy, a lot of people do. I don't know what's up with the YouTube song. I don't know that's weird this morning. Anyway, I saw they had some updates here on StreamYard, which is the platform we use to do our show. Maybe that has something to do with it. We'll see. You can show the comments in a different. We're just going to show them one at a time as we always do. Chad Gage, hello, good morning. S. Callie is here. Good morning. Who that's? Daryl Hayden, good morning. He says good morning to Gabe. Uncle Big Nick's also here. Zach Ewing's in the green room already. Chris, 46 degrees in Arkansas this morning. Okay. S. Gotro, good morning. Who that's? Again, if it's not showing your full name, I'm sorry about that. It's a little weird this morning. It's fine with the Facebook stuff, but for some reason, YouTube is showing usernames instead of people's actual names. Ron Hendrickson, good morning. Beautiful morning in the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Got a feeling it comes Sunday, it won't be as beautiful. Already making his prediction. We'll get to our predictions later. Bucks 30, Saints 16. Save your predictions till we get there. I'll tell you when it's time to give them to me. Jason Hughes, let's talk about LSU. Or are they going to flip the script as Coach O says? I don't know. It's going to be, we're going to see. S. Kelly also says, excited to be in the dome. Positive thoughts. I believe this is Lance Dobard. Doe 3859. I think that's Lance. Who dat, baby? Big win coming this weekend. They technically, Lance, can still win 10 games. If the Saints go 9-1, they would finish 10-7. Just saying. It's possible. Christopher Crump, happy Friday. Hoping for a win. Giving us prediction. I'll show it. Saints 28, Tampa 21. Again, we got a little ways to go. UBN is not happy about the temperatures in the 40s coming up. I'm thrilled about it. Just saying. Just thrilled. Randall, good morning. Rob, Devin Neal should get a dozen carries. Got to see what you have. I agree. Jody, I'll show it just because Boomer Esiason is speculating on the refs and the no call. That's not what he was really speculating on. If you watch the clip is from the Boomer and Gio show, and Gio is talking about basically what Zach and I talk about a lot. There's no such thing as a conspiracy in the NFL. I don't know how many times do we have to say this? Okay, in the NBA, maybe. I mean, I can't say there isn't, but in the NFL, there's no conspiracy. Okay, but what Boomer was talking about, he was talking about maybe the closest thing you could ever see that if you wanted to say something was cheating would be the no call. That's how that came up. So he wasn't really speculating. It still pisses me off. It still pisses you off, but yeah. Anyway, Nathan Thomas, good morning. What else we got here? Little Smokes here. Good morning. We talking Pels today a little bit. We talked about it already. We talked about Pelicans. Ashley Farrell, happy Friday. Can we have a Holy Trinity? Well, Tulane's off this weekend, so we can't have Tulane. They won't lose, though. We do have LSU and the Saints. Maybe Pelicans. Maybe so. We'll see. Mitch Bergeron is here. Baker Mayfield is 5-1 against the Saints, and he hates us. What is he, 5 years old? Well, would you have a problem if someone hated the Bucs? No, you wouldn't. Come on, man. It works both ways. Don't say that. I mean, right now there isn't much of a rivalry. I mean, maybe that's true, but you know why there's not much of a rivalry? Because the Tampa Bay's been kicking the Saints' ass. That's why there isn't much of a rivalry as of late. You got to look at it as objective. I know it's hard to sometimes, but Baker hates it. That's been shown why he hates the Saints. He thinks some cheap shots on him, and I got to be honest, I kind of agree with him. Just saying. What else we got here this morning? I know who this is because I know your logo, but I can't. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now. But Slow Who Dat, good morning. It's a beautiful morning on the Central California coast. Lewis Jacobson from Araby. I'll be in Araby. I'll pass through Araby next week anyway. Next Thursday, I'm doing Chalmette and Slidell on Thursday night on VSN. What else we got? Emily Varner, good morning. From you and Adam. Shuck should be starting. No clue what Moore is waiting for. Well, he'll get his chance. And then Michael Morgan is here. Bucks 5-1 last 6 games against the Saints. Yep. And Cecil Evans, Baker is baiting the rest for Sunday. I don't think that's the case. All right. Let's get to our regular weather segment. Damon Singleton. It's not as long as usual. This one is 5 minutes. 5 minutes and 6 seconds. We talk about, look, if you're going to either game, okay, or even it might affect the way you think about what's going to happen in Saturday's game. Obviously, outdoors never rains in Tiger Stadium, right? Damon Singleton on what's going to happen weather-wise for both in Baton Rouge on Saturday night and the Saints. Remember, the Saints play at 3 o'clock. Will that change his thinking? And then, of course, the big fall front. Are we going to get chilly for Halloween? Here's Damon. It's another fun Friday of weather. Well, sort of fun. It'll be interesting, I think, this weekend. Damon Singleton, our local meteorologist, is here with us. Wake up NOLA. And Damon, I'm worried about what's going to happen this weekend.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned myself, Jim. It's not looking like some great weather for a good portion of the weekend. But, you know, the timing of it all is kind of the key. And so been watching closely for that.
Well, we'll start off with the LSU Fighting Tigers. They say it never rains in Tiger Stadium. Who knows? Maybe the football gods will be nice and it won't.
Well, hopefully that's the case. You know, we've got some pretty strong storms headed in this direction, and it's going to affect us and it's going to affect Baton Rouge pretty significantly. For LSU, looks like the worst of it's not going to get there until the game is over. But if you're tailgating, if you're heading up to Baton Rouge to tailgate for the LSU game, you're probably going to run into or be dealing with some measure of scattered showers, maybe a storm or two, but about a 40% chance of that happening. So be prepared for the rainfall, but I don't think you're going to see the worst of it until after you're heading home.
Damon, explain for some people who might not understand. When you say 40%, that's kind of like a coverage range, right?
Yeah, well, it's a kind of a percentage for, you know, each area of the area that we're talking about. So for a lot of people, I guess what it translates into is, you know, anytime I say 40% or better, it's probably a good idea to keep your umbrella with you, and, you know, 30% or less, you know, you're probably good. But it's a statistical percentage for every area of the viewing area.
And so when people are driving home, now some of these storms, from what I'm seeing, and tell me if I'm wrong, but some of these storms could be a little intense. So if they're driving home, you know, even though they may not see rain, if they're driving from Baton Rouge to New Orleans, they may see some pretty strong storms driving home.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be under kind of a slight risk of severe weather. And so the later you wait to come back to New Orleans, probably the worst type of stormy weather you're going to have to deal with on your way back. The worst of the weather for us here in New Orleans gets here in those early morning hours. So, you know, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. But we're probably going to still be dealing with a pretty good measure of showers and storms, at least until 10, maybe 11 o'clock. Hopefully it'll be done with us by then. But it looks like the worst of it, though, the very worst of it is going to be during those early morning hours.
So you told me this morning 30% chance of rain. The Saints game, that's around kickoff time, though. What do you see? You talked about now in the early morning hours. If you're driving the Saints game, just be prepared.
Yeah, some of the people that I know go out to tailgate starting at 8 a.m., even for a 3 o'clock game. So, you're probably going to, if you're tailgating during the morning hours, you're probably going to be dealing with some showers and storms. And then that's less likely in the afternoon. Although, in fact, in the afternoon, some indications are that the skies are going to clear up pretty nicely. There's going to be sunshine and some nice temperatures as well. But there's still a chance that you may see a shower or two in the afternoon hours leading up to the game, leading up to kickoff.
I'll say I hate 3 o'clock games, but I guess in this time frame, I guess the way you're putting it, maybe I ought to be glad it's at 3 o'clock this week.
Yeah, maybe so. I think that timing is going to work out pretty well.
And then lastly, I've been asking you for 6-7 weeks now. It looks like the Halloween kiddos next week, we might have our first real taste of fall here in New Orleans.
Yeah, man, there's a really strong cold front that's headed in this direction. It's going to probably get here by Wednesday and have a big impact on us for Thursday and into Friday as well. So it might be a little bit on the chilly, if not cold side for the kiddos for Halloween.
So when I dress up in my, in my Freddy Krueger costume or whatever it is, I should make sure I have the flannel on and maybe a layer or two.
Maybe so, Jim. I can't wait to see this.
Okay, well maybe I'll wear it on the pod next week. Actually, next week we're doing a Thursday edition, so we'll see. We have Damon Singleton. Thank you so much. Tell the people how they can find.
Hey, you can find me on NOLA.com, on Wake Up NOLA. You can check out my forecast and the Times-Picayune itself, and then on all of our social media platforms for NOLA.com and for Wake Up NOLA.
Damon Singleton, we'll see you next week.
All right, Jim. Take care.
Sorry about the reverb there. We had a little echoey stuff going on there, but thank Damon for doing this. Yeah, he doesn't have to do this. I mean, I appreciate, I've reached out again. It's a segment that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and he agreed before the season started that we would do this on Fridays. And again, you can check him out on Wake Up NOLA every morning. We got a bunch of shorts on NOLA.com. Check them out on our NOLA.com YouTube page. Speaking of other YouTube pages that we have the LSU insiders, we got the Saints insiders, and involved in all of that is NOLA.com and Times-Picayune and Advocate Assistant Sports Editor Zach Ewing, who joins us every Friday. Welcome, sir. How are you? Are you over the Mariners yet?
No.
Yeah.
No, you don't get over something like that very quickly. Especially when, the team has never been there before, and, cheating ass George Springer did it again and all of that. That's for Gabe.
I got to say this, to wallow in your misery, the Cubs have won a World Series in my lifetime, and I'm still not over the Bartman crap. So, and that was almost 20 years ago. So
yeah,
I'm saying,
my wife said something
to get over
Monday night. My boys were both in tears, and I'm going, what have I done to them? And
that's good though. That's passion. That's passion.
Yeah. My wife says, well, it just takes time. And I said, it's going to take a lot of time. It's sports. It is what it is. We'll get over it. But my Mariners group chat's already talking about next season, but it's going to hurt for a long time.
Gabe says 2019 still stings, and there are also lots of dents and trash cans all over Houston.
Yeah, but you won too, Gabe.
Just saying. All right, moving on to football. Nobody wants to talk about baseball except us. All right, let's start with LSU as we've kind of been doing, and we'll get to the Saints in a minute. But we're gonna talk about LSU here. We'll make our predictions, and then we'll get to the Saints and make our Saints predictions. So we'll let you know when it's time to make your LSU predictions here, and you can predict along with us. Week 9 for college. Man, we're hitting the 2/3 poll. Hard to believe as we go in LSU's last game in October. They are home this week against the Texas A&M Aggies. They are underdogs for the second straight week, 2.5-point underdogs for the second straight week. LSU, to me, I know it's easy to say, and you can always say, well, this is the most important game of the week because it's the game this week. but I think added emphasis, obviously, Zach, because of losing to Vanderbilt. Now, they have no more room for error, these LSU Tigers.
No, that's completely right. They are just in a must-win situation. In some ways, I guess that simplifies things for them. There's not going to be any more, well, you could lose this game or split these two, or what if this happens or what if that happens? Like, there's only one scenario, and now the players know it. Like, you've got to win out. I think you could actually make a reasonable argument that an SEC team at 9-3 should get over a 10-2 or even 11-1 team in some of these other conferences. But whether they should and whether they will are two different discussions. And so I just think, if you get in at 9-3, you just count your lucky stars and go have fun in December. But for purposes of right now, October the 24th, LSU is going to have to win out. Like we just have to look at it that way.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's a fact. You can't say there's no way a 3-loss team is going to get in the playoffs, but it's highly unlikely. And we saw, I don't know where they come up with these stats. I don't always go with these numbers that they pull out of the air, but basically the percentage for LSU to make the playoffs is at 14%, according to ESPN. So anyway.
And I think that's a bit high. I think you can get 10-1 in the betting market on them to make the playoffs. So if you believe, maybe 10-1 is a good bet. I don't know.
Yeah. Gabe says no 3-loss team has ever gotten it, but that's
it's only been one.
That's misleading. Exactly. It's just started. All right. So looking at this weekend, and we don't want to jump the gun and give spoiler alerts on our predictions yet, but we will say that it's factual. Brian Kelly is 21-1 in night games at Tiger Stadium, and he's 4-1 as an underdog at Tiger Stadium, which bodes well for the Tigers if you're trying to figure out who to pick this week. And look, they're either going to win this week and make it interesting, or I think if they lose this week, this season could turn into a death knell spiral.
Oh, yeah. If they lose this week, is anybody going to pick them to win in Tuscaloosa in 2 weeks? And then if you lose that,
I'm not.
Now your season's really over. At that point, they'd be 5-4. Probably still. Although Arkansas is dangerous, man. Arkansas, especially a team that can't put up a lot of points, Arkansas could get you on the right day. You'll beat Western Kentucky, but is anybody going to pick a 6-5 or a 7-4 LSU team to go win in Norman? If you lose this week, you're probably starting to look at 7-5.
No, I agree. It's not out of the realm of possibility. We saw how big, Bobby Petrino is giving life to Arkansas, and they gave Texas A&M a good game, and they scored a lot of points against them. And Texas A&M really hasn't given up a whole lot of points in the grand scheme of things. They did to Notre Dame, but and they won that game. So, who knows? LSU, that's not a gimme against Arkansas either.
No. The only gimme they have left is Western Kentucky, and that's fine. But I just don't. You better win this week. I guess that's the point we're trying to make here.
Never say never, but you really do have to win. All right, and I'm going to ask you the question that I asked Mike Detillier on Wednesday. Just how hot is the fire under Brian Kelly's ass right now?
Boy, it's getting there. I don't know that I think it's more likely than not that he would be fired at this point. But it's getting there, and especially if that scenario we just talked about plays out where he's 8-4 or 7-5 at the end of the year. I know $53 million is an awful lot of money, but it only drops to $40 million next year. Now you would have to pay the 53 plus the salary of the new coach, which is going to be significant. Whoever it is. So there's a lot of money that would be needed, but I think anger and emotion makes people do things they wouldn't otherwise do.
Yeah. Tim Dunn says it's over. It's not over. Look, there's a road to hoe. Gabe says 0.0, but I'm definitely not ready to say 0.0. I don't know if I'm willing to go out and bet him at 10-1, but I don't know.
It's not 0.0.
No, and I will say this honestly: if they win this week, I'm not saying they're going to go on a run, but I just, I don't think they're just going to lay down like dogs and die. I don't think that's in this team. By the way, if you want to get in your LSU prediction, now is the time to do so. I say we got a couple of them already. Zach and I are about to make our LSU predictions. And now's the time for you to do it if you want to do it. But I don't see them laying down and dying. I know everybody hates, not everybody, but a vast majority of LSU fans are hating Brian Kelly, and it is what it is. I mean, look, it is what it is. I mean, I just don't, I don't think it's nearly as bad as everybody thinks it is.
I don't think so either. And to the 0.0 point, it sounds funny, to the 0.0 take, I would just say that if LSU wins Saturday night, which is certainly not 0.0. I mean, the line is, they're 2.5-point underdogs. You mentioned the stats of night games at home. Although the last time they were an underdog in a night game at home, it was ugly. So it's not impossible that they could lose. But let's just say that they win. You know, if that happens, then everyone's having a different conversation next week, right? Like now the talk is all, well, can they go to Tuscaloosa and upset Alabama?
Yeah.
Because if you somehow win both of those games, then your season's really going to come down to that Saturday after Thanksgiving in Norman, Oklahoma. And I don't know that that's a comfortable spot to be in. Oklahoma's a good team, but I think at this point, it's not impossible to say you could get there, and every LSU fan would certainly take that.
I'm going to say this, and UBN kind of makes a point here, and he says, to be fair, LSU fans hate LSU fans are the most irrational college football fans on the planet. And people go, oh, they're screaming at their phones or TVs or whatever the hell they're watching on. But they are. I mean, in my lifetime, there's only been one coach that I can think of off the top of my head that LSU fans said we're good with and cool with and still liked, and, you know, when he left, and that's Nick Saban. Other than that, I can't think of, I mean, Les Miles had kind of gained some love back before he left, I guess, but they certainly were ready for him to leave. Coach O, look, people could say, well, I want Coach O back. No, they wanted Coach O gone when he left. They want Brian Kelly gone now. When I was a kid, they couldn't wait for Charlie Mack to leave. Orange Spargo left. They were happy. DiNardo sucked. Of course he did. I mean, so you go back in time, and in my lifetime, I can't think of anyone but Nick Saban that LSU fans were still happy about when he left the program.
And, you know, it's funny, if you ask our columnist, Scott Rabelais in Baton Rouge, who is as plugged into LSU as anybody, if emphasizing if LSU were to move on from Brian Kelly at the end of this year, who would they go to? Because I think that's a fascinating discussion in the landscape of college football today. But he says, you know, the first call you have to make, and he's probably going to say no, but you need to make him say no, is Nick Saban.
Yeah, he's going to say no.
He's going to say no, but you got to make him say no.
By the way, Mark Zatanovich, I appreciate you watching the show, my friend, but you're repeating all the things that we've already talked about already. We had a segment on the weather. We talked about the Pelicans, and yes, Carly Hallman, you add that in, him too. They couldn't wait for him to leave either. All right, it is prediction time. We got a couple here before we get to ours. Let's see. Daryl Hayden said it's LSU wins 24-23. I think this is Lance Dobard. LSU losing to A&M. Nuss not right, and they can't run the ball. I actually think Nuss is right now. I didn't see anything. I mean, he got the hell beat out of him last week, but I think he's okay. Can the offensive line do anything is a question. Chris Crump says LSU will win. LSU 27, Texas A&M 21. Do we have any more before I move on? I do not see any, but Hakeem, big dog, welcome. All right, here we go. It is prediction time. Drum roll, please. Zach Ewing says,
Tigers get it done. Tigers get it done. And by the way, I'm going to toot this horn as long as I can toot it. I've been perfect picking LSU games this year. I beat Clemson, picked them to lose to Ole Miss, picked them to lose to Vandy. I just think that this is one of those zigzag college football crazy seasons where what you think is going to happen isn't what happens. And now that everyone has jumped ship on LSU, on our LSU Insider show, some of our beat writers, I think Koki picked Texas A&M to win by 38-17, which, again, like you say, there is a little bit of a blowout potential here if things start poorly for LSU and the crowd turns on them and or just leaves because the weather's bad and you're playing in front of a third full Tiger Stadium in the rain in the fourth quarter. Like, things could, I do see a possibility of that, but I actually just think LSU, you know, this is a kitchen sink game, as they say. They're going to do anything and everything that they can do to win this game because they know they have to. I think Texas A&M is a good team. I do not think they're the third best team in the country. They have not won in Baton Rouge since they joined the SEC in 2012. And I just don't see this being the week.
Yeah. I can, all those things make sense. By the way, if you can't see the screen in our local picks this year, Zach and I are both 15-3. Now that's not against the spread, although we've been pretty good for the most part against the spread as well. I don't know what the exact record is, but we are 15-3 straight up. As Zach says, he's been perfect in picking LSU games. I don't think I've been perfect. I think I missed one. I missed one Saints game, and I think I've missed two. I don't know. Anyway, no, I missed two Saints games. I missed two Saints games and one LSU game. I've been perfect with Tulane. All right. Anyway, Lance says it would be just like this LSU team to drown in the kitchen sink they're trying to throw. Man, that's some people out.
But in all seriousness, I understand it's a joke and everything, and but that's the exact type of attitude I'm talking about. Is it would be just like this LSU team. They can't do anything right. This team's 5-2, guys.
Exactly.
With two road losses to top 20 teams. Actually, top 10 teams as of right now. I think is Ole Miss still in the top 15? Anyway?
I think they're at the bottom of the 10 or right at 11 or somewhere around there.
I think Vandy is 10th. But anyway, the point is you have two road losses to very good teams. Like, let's not act like they can't pull their pants on straight. This is a good team.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, I know people hate when I say this kind of stuff, but LSU fans are the most irrational college football fans on planet Earth. Ole Miss is number 8, by the way, says Gabe Henderson. Apathy says, bad O-line, can't run the ball. Fans might not show in normal numbers. You're crazy. If you think the fans aren't going to show up in normal numbers, you're crazy. They will be there in rain or no rain or whatever it is. They'll be there. That's crazy. Apathy. Obviously, they don't have a good offensive line. They're not playing well right now. To say they can't run the ball, that's a little strong. They haven't been running it well, but I think they can. We'll see what happens this week. Anyway, all that being said, no surprise. We've been on the same page for most of the season. I'm with Zach. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game than Zach has it. Actually, I have 60 points being scored in this game. I didn't realize I had that many until LSU 33, A&M 27. I think it's a coming out party for the offense. And why? Just call it gut feel. And sometimes I just go with my gut, and I think it makes sense that LSU follows up a stinker again. I think that if they don't win this football game, I think that starts spiraling downward. And I think that they have fight left in them. I think they have something to prove. And I think that they can hold off the rabid, just hate the world LSU fans for at least another 2 weeks before they play Alabama on the road in Tuscaloosa. I think LSU gets it done this week against Texas A&M. I didn't like what I saw from the defense. I think that's why I have some more points being scored. But A&M has allowed 2 games this year. They're allowed more than 40. I think the LSU offense, I think Nussmeier has his best game of the year.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know about 60 points, although it's got to be said, A&M last year was like a really good defensive team. They got a good offense, and they have been in some shootouts. Their 2 road games, they allowed 41 points to Notre Dame, I believe, and 40 to Arkansas. 2 very good offenses. Like it probably better than LSU. I don't think LSU is going to score 40. But this is not the third best team in the country. I know that's what their ranking says. That's probably 100%. What they deserve based on results.
Right.
But I think A&M might be in for a rough finish here, which would be so very Aggie of them.
Wouldn't it be fun to watch? This would be fun to watch. All right. And by the way, LSU does not play at home again after this game until I think November the 15th. So this is the last game in Tiger Stadium.
And you got a bye week and then the trip to Alabama.
And then I think Arkansas is after that, and then Western Kentucky, or vice versa, one of the two.
I believe the first. Yeah, I believe Arkansas is first.
And those are the last 2 home games, and I think they finished the season at Oklahoma. So that should be interesting. Robbo says LSU 31, A&M 30. He called Chauncey Billups bookie. No, I just added that in. He called a bookie and took LSU with 5.5. Who's giving you 5.5? I think that bookie is.
You must be paying minus 200 for that. But exactly. Chauncey Billups was not sports betting. He was cheating at poker is what he was doing. That'll get you killed.
It'll get your legs broken. You better be careful. Anyway, we said we weren't going to talk about it on the show. So every time I say I don't talk about it, and then I spend 2 minutes talking about something. All right, moving on. It's time to talk about what we are going to talk about is them New Orleans Saints. And Zach, before we get to the series part of this, and actually this is a series I think you will agree that this actually matters because it's recent history. But I want to start off with some things that some fans were talking about earlier, and I think it's getting some people's goats. That Baker Mayfield is getting fired up, and he's trying to make this a series. Do you take anything with this whole Baker saying the Saints have cheap shotted him, and he's trying to rile up his Bucs?
Not really. I mean, it'll be a fun talking point. I'm glad he did it because it's been a pretty dry week for us as far as interest. But I don't. I guess it sticks out because you don't hear professional players doing this much anymore, where they're just giving out bulletin board material. But maybe he just thinks they're going to beat the Saints anyway. So, does anybody think he's wrong?
No, he's not wrong. Well, I mean, of course there are fans here that definitely think that he's wrong, but I'm just saying, yeah. Okay. Real quick, Ashley, is Lamar Jackson playing this weekend? I sure hope so. I got him on my fantasy team, and I did not use Justin Herbert last night. So I hope that Lamar Jackson starts this week. Let's just say that. Lance Dobart says he's not impressed with Devin Neal. I don't know how you have seen enough with Devin Neal. He's Mr. Fundamental, which is what the Saints targeted in last draft. High character, low injury. He's a 6th-round pick, Lance. You've been a little harsh on him. Neal is solid, but not great. Is a 6th-round pick supposed to be great? I mean, I'm not sure. I think our expectations are a little high there.
Yeah, who knows? He had an impressive pass block against Chicago, which is all anybody can talk about because that's all we've seen. I am looking forward to seeing him. I think
me too.
Which I've never ever said that about anything from Kansas ever before. But so I feel a little bit dirty, but I am looking forward to seeing him because I think that he may get a lot of run by the end of this year. We'll see what happens with Alvin Kamara, but this may be a story to watch going forward too.
I agree. And look, I said someone else said it in the comments earlier. I don't remember who it was, and I agree. I think he needs to get 10 or 12 carries this weekend, and I think there's a good chance you're going to see that.
I don't think you're going to see double digits, but maybe 6 or 8. Okay. That would be a big jump, but we'll see.
S. Gotro says he hopes Chase Young sacks Baker at least twice and frustrates him. That would be fun, I guess. Right?
Baker did not play well Monday night, man. That was like his first game as a Buccaneer. It was. But
he also lost Mike Evans early, and he's not going to have Mike Evans this week either. But he has a week to prepare with Mike Evans gone. So I don't know, but you're right. I thought it was as clearly his worst game of the year.
Yeah, his EPA was like way negative in that game. He was not good at all.
We probably have no bigger Spencer Rattler lover than Mark Satanovich, so I'll show this comment as we segue into the Rat has stabilized the quarterback position. I'm not sure which games you've been watching, but that's certainly not true. The Rat has stabilized the quarterback position for the Saints, and for the time being, until Shuck isn't a rook anymore. I'm not 100% sure what he means by that, but with that, I will segue into this. I think that we would both agree at least this, that Spencer Rattler, for the first time in his NFL career, in his 14th start, has a little pressure on him, knowing that he could potentially lose his job. Probably not in this game, unless he's just really bad, but Tyler Shuck is knocking on the door now.
Yeah, I heard you say earlier this week that you thought that if he was really bad in the first half, you could see Shuck at halftime. That's a 0.0 for me, barring injury, of course.
Oh, that's not 0.0.
I don't see that happening.
If he has the first half like no, come on, man.
Okay, so but in this scenario that you're talking about,
I don't think it's likely.
In this scenario that you're talking about, Rattler has played very poorly, which means the Saints are down big, which means you're putting Tyler Shuck in a game where the fans are probably out of the building. The Bucs are pinning their ears back in pass rush. You have a makeshift offensive line. That is not the scenario. I hear what you're saying when you say you got to put Shuck out there. I don't think halftime of a game where you're losing big is the time to do it. I just don't. I don't think it's likely, but if you're losing 24-7, which is a possibility, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying if you're losing 24-7 and the dude looked like he looked last week in the first half, I think you have to. I think not only just for the team's sake, but I think
for Spencer Rattler's sake. I think the opposite. I think you don't want him to go out there again and just get destroyed. I don't know. Again, I don't think it's likely, but it's certainly not 0.0. I'd probably put it at 10 to 20%. But I think there's definitely
any chance. I don't think
okay.
there's, I mean, maybe in mop up in the fourth quarter when the game, if it goes bad, like in Seattle, you just throw him out there for a couple series. That I could see.
I'll also say this. I hope it's a moot point. I hope he rebounds this week because I think there actually is a chance that he does rebound. I want to see what he looks like now with the pressure on him.
Yeah, I do too. And I mean, I think to the point of him stabilizing the quarterback position, I don't know if that's the word I would use, but he has definitely let you know that you at least have an NFL quarterback in the quarterback room, which all the talk before the season started was, oh my God, the Saints have no wins in their quarterback room. Well, now they've only got one. Okay, so does that make any difference in anybody's eyes? I would just say he's at least shown you that he can come in and not lose you a game. And if that's the case, that is a guy worth having around. Is he the option as a long-term starter? I doubt it. Is he an option as a long-term backup and a guy you would feel comfortable throwing in if your starter was injured? I think he has stabilized it to that extent.
I agree with all that except the doubted part. You want to talk about 0.0s? He's got a 0.0% chance of being a long-term start in this league. I do agree that I think he's shown enough, and has surprised me to the. I think he can be a solid, okay backup in this league. Not the best backup, not a top 10 backup, but good enough backup. And I'm not a fan of good enough, but I think in the case of a backup quarterback, if you have a good enough backup quarterback, the Saints never really needed one when Drew Brees was here. But think about all the backups they had here. None of those backups were really. Spencer Rattler probably as good as Chase Daniel,
you say that, but the 2019 team, which was a Super Bowl contender. I mean, they lost in the playoffs, but that team only made the playoffs and won the division because of Teddy Bridgewater. Like you had a quality backup, and he came in and won 5 games for you.
No, that's definitely true. That's true. And then Jameis was a backup for a while, and he's definitely. I don't care what anybody says. He's definitely better than Spencer Rattler. That's a whole different story. Infantry Man says maybe after this week more will make the move that needs to happen in order to give Shuck enough sample size to properly evaluate him before the offseason. Everyone should know what Rattler is. Ryan Chano says we've seen enough of Rattler. He's a good backup. It's time for Shuck. What is a good sample size do you think? And you've heard me say this, but they have 10 games remaining before the NFL draft in 2026. They need to know what they have. What do you think is a good what are enough games to say, okay, I've seen enough to know whether Shuck could potentially be the future at quarterback?
I mean, I think if you put him in after the bye week, you're still getting enough. I'm not saying that that's definitely what they're going to do, but if you put him in after the bye week, you have, what is that, eight games, or that'll be 7, I guess. Yeah. That would be enough for me. I could see the argument of putting him in a week or two before that, but you're not going to look at him for 7 games and say, boy, I have no idea what we know. I mean, we've seen Spencer Rattler for 7 games, and we certainly think we know what we have in him.
If you want, I want to say this, and I've been preaching. I don't want to hear any more excuses. I think there's no more reason to wait, but they have waited. And I didn't think they were going to make a change this week. That being said, I hope Spencer Rattler plays well enough to keep his job one more week. Because, man, starting your first start at Rams, where right now the Saints are a 12.5-point underdog, it's probably not a great spot. Again, if Spencer Rattler stinks it up and be advocating for Shuck to go in there again, whether they do it or not, I don't know, but that's not really a place you want to go. Apathy says Bowles is going to blitz the crap out of Rattler. Interesting about this game, as we start moving into the series part of this is the only team that Spencer Rattler will have played against before, and he's played against them twice. Got his first ever career start, right? That was his first start, was against Tampa Bay.
I think so, yeah.
And then played at Tampa in the last game of the season. So Todd Bowles has seen, this is the first opposing coach now going against Spencer Rattler that has seen Spencer Rattler. I thought Bowles did a better job against them in the dome in the first game. The Saints actually were leading for much of that final game. I don't last game, week 18 games are always a little bit weird, but the Saints, Rattler played okay against them in that final game.
That game, I believe, is the only time Spencer Rattler has had a lead at halftime outside of the Giants game. I think it's just those two, right? They took the lead against the Giants right before half, but that was really the only time he played a significant portion of the first half with the lead. And he did look good in that game. And it's funny you talk about the series. The funny thing about this series is that in recent history, even actually going back 7-8 years, the Saints have played the Bucs much tougher in Tampa than they have at the Dome, which is just weird, especially when you talk about going back to like pre-COVID when the Dome was really rocking. So I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, the Bucs are so injured that
they are.
Not to get into the prediction,
so
but I think they're going to have to win this game with their defense. So I am curious to see what Bowles has cooked up.
And let's get into the series part of it now. Saints lead. I know you don't care about overall series numbers, but this includes the one playoff matchup they played against one another, and you see it with 2 asterisks there. It's the second to last game on the screen here. But as of late, there's no question that Tampa Bay has been dominating in this series since Breeze left. It's hard to believe that the Saints have played 8 games against Tampa Bay without Drew Brees on this football team. It's been that long since Drew Brees is gone. And since he's left, the Bucs are 5-3, but 2 of those games in 21, that was with Tom Brady on the team. Hard to believe the Saints beat him 9-0. Remember that, a Sunday night game, I believe.
There's some really
weird,
like important games in recent Saints history on this list. The 30-20 playoff game, of course, the Jared Cook fumble game. I know everybody knows that one, but the 9-0 one was like one of that gave the Saints hope, playoff hope going into the latter part of that year. And then the next year, that December 5th, 2022, I still think about that game above all else as the what if game for Dennis Allen, because they had that team beat, and he was the interim coach in that game. Is that right? Or was that the 9-0?
No, he was 9-0. I thought he was the coach, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm having trouble. Yeah, I guess by 2022 he was the coach, and that is the what if game. 2021, Peyton was out with COVID, and PA was the interim coach and won that game. And I think that was monumental because when the job came open, it gave even more credence to the idea that Dennis Allen was the guy. Then they blow the 16-3 lead to the Buccaneers the next year, which is just a crusher. I think if you go back and flip that result and the Saints hold on, they win the division that year. So how much would that have changed things for Dennis Allen? And then the December 31st, 2023 game, of course, the only game the Saints have won in the last 6 meetings was the one that kept them alive going into the final week of the season that year. So there's been some really important games on this list.
Yeah, and there also have been mostly, at least out of the last 6, except for the one outlier, mostly lower scoring games. Tampa Bay just did whatever they wanted to do on the Saints last year. That was, to me, towards the end of Allen's run, and he was done. And Tampa Bay just whooped up on him. If you remember correctly, Spencer Rattler had a pretty good first half. It was back and forth, and then the Bucs just took charge in the second half, and they made adjustments. Rattler couldn't do anything, and the Bucs just scored a ton of points, and they won 51-27. But interesting. Most of these games have been fairly low scoring.
Yeah, do you remember the Fitzmagic game? Was that the season opener of 2018? Was that the year the Saints the same year as the no call? They should have. No, I think it was 2019.
Yeah.
But that was a crazy game, and then the crazy one last year where there are all those turnovers and kick returns by both teams and such. But I don't. You're right. Other than that, it's been pretty low scoring.
Hakeem says, unfortunately, we do have to see what we have because of where he was drafted, meaning Tyler Shuck. Spencer Rattler ain't as bad as Dalton, Simeon, and Winston. I agree with you on the first 2, Hakeem, but I'm sorry. Spencer Rattler is not as good as Jameis Winston. He's not as good as Jameis Winston when Jameis Winston was here or Jameis Winston right now.
I think he's better than Jameis now. I don't know about when Jameis.
I'm not saying I would want Jameis right now because there's no reason to have that kind of quarterback.
And Jameis now couldn't even beat out Russell Wilson. Like, let's be real here. That's pretty bad.
That didn't matter who beat out Russell Wilson because that was like a matter. You were counting seconds until Jackson Dart was going to start.
I'm fine, but you were still going to pick the guy you thought might actually win a couple games, right?
Also, Hakeem, by the way, definitely need a field goal kicker. Field goal kicker is the least of this team. They're 1-6. Look, you should have made the change before the season starts. Again, if you want to see Charlie Smith, sure, great. And it's not 7. He's missed 6 field games. Not that that's good either, but it's 6, right? Not 7.
Did you know? I was looking this up this morning, actually.
Also have a question for you. Go ahead.
That the Saints kicker, Blake Grupe, is dead last in the NFL in field goal accuracy. He's technically in front of Younghoe Koo, but Younghoe Koo only has 1 game.
Right.
So if you throw that one out, he's dead last. He's 36th among 36 other kickers in field goal accuracy. And Kai Kroger, the starting punter, is 32nd. He's dead last in net punting average. So if you want to start talking about, like, I agree with you, there's other problems this team has. Special teams have been abysmal. They've also given up the big kick and punt returns. They can't do anything on returns themselves. Like, and when you talk about a team that has played some close games, not all of them have been close, but enough have to where you go, man, if you still had some of the league's best special teams like you did for so many years under Peyton and Rizzi, maybe a couple of those losses turn into wins, and we're having a different conversation right now.
Here's the thing for groupie haters, and I hear you. It's just not a problem enough right now for me to care. There will be a new Saints kicker next year. And like I said, they're 1-6. It doesn't matter right now. I get you get frustrated and you try to find as many things to hate on as you possibly can. It just doesn't matter right now. I would like to see Smith play. I don't even know. Is he still on the practice squad? I don't even know. Do you know the answer to that, Zach?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, sure.
Okay. I would like to see him, but I mean, Blake Grupe's not going to be I don't know who the kicker is going to be next year, but it's not going to be Blake Grupe. They're not going to do this again.
I think they actually really like Grupe, and that's the reason they're sticking with him. So I don't know that I totally agree with you, because he has shown that he can do it.
He shows that he can do it in practice.
Well, okay, but I guess what I'm saying is if he finishes the year 25 for 25, then yeah, he's going to be a kicker next year. Like
I think that the chance of him being a kicker next year is less than 50%.
Probably so, yes. Less than 50, yeah.
All right, let's move on to the rankings part of it in this game in particular. And we talk about, this is something we like to show every week. And I didn't get to talk about this too much in Wednesday's show. But you look at some of the numbers and some of them are okay. But the one that jumps out at me right away is the Saints rushing offense against the Bucs defense. And the Saints rushing offensive ranking has just gotten worse every week. And they're 23rd. Now, look, the Bucs are banged up. They've got injuries, but I don't know that it necessarily affects them in the Russian defense. And I think the Saints, you want to talk about whether we're going to see Devin Neal. To me, Alvin Kamara's heart is not playing football right now. It's just his heart isn't in it. And I don't think the Saints can be able to run the ball at all against Tampa. I just don't.
A couple of things. One, look at the way Alvin Kamara pass blocks. That tells you everything you need to know about where his give a damn is.
100%.
It's not very high. And to me, 100%. If I'm the Saints, I'm not saying I would definitely trade him, but that would be, if I did trade him, that would be the reason why. Because I'm like, man, if you're not even gonna, if we're not getting max effort out of you, why do I owe you?
100% agree.
So I'm not saying they're going to, but I do think it makes it slightly more likely. If you watch him on film in pass blocking, he's been terrible. And and not only does that make me more likely to trade him, but it's also one of those like, well, how am I helping my young players, my young quarterbacks? How am I getting a true evaluation of them if they've got an RB1 in there who doesn't want to pass block? Like, I mean, that doesn't help me evaluate them either. So I'm just really kind of down on him right now. The other thing I would say is, as far as the Bucs run defense, I think Vita Vea was questionable. He was limited.
I think he's playing
yesterday.
Yeah, I think he's playing now.
He's probably going to play. If he does not, and check out today's injury report, if he's like a limited again, or
NOLA.com/Saints, by the way.
Yeah, that'll be out probably around 3 o'clock this afternoon. If he doesn't play, then that changes the Bucs running defense significantly.
Yeah, I agree. And look, Lance, I love you. Let's don't make excuses. Look, I love Alvin Kamara as much as the next guy. He's a Hall of Famer in this team. You can make an argument that he's the best running back that's ever played for this team. I don't necessarily know if I would say that or not. It's close.
He's up there. Yeah,
he's definitely up there. But let's don't make excuses. You think his ankle is worse than they admit. I think that he just doesn't want to play football that much anymore. And that's why I said Wednesday, Zach. Or maybe he does. But that's why I said, look, and I likened it to when I got divorced 20 years ago. And I told my ex-wife then, I am doing you a favor. And I think Mickey Loomis should trade Alvin Kamara, and I don't care if he gets a box of peanuts, and says, Alvin Kamara, we are doing you a favor. Go play for a contender somewhere the last year and a half of your career and go enjoy football again, because it's not going to be here.
Yeah, and the injury thing could be true. And I'm not trying to like sell Alvin Kamara down the river here. Like you're right. He is a good player. He's been a phenomenal player at times in his career. All of that is true, and all of that deserves to be mentioned. Also just think, like you say, maybe he's just, his heart's not in it here and it would be somewhere else. And so if he's only got a few years left in his career, maybe that is what's best for him, even if he himself doesn't realize it right now.
Tom says his give a damn is busted. I think his give a damn has kind of been busted for most of the last few years. And look, again, I'm not making any excuses for him. I don't think he and Dennis Allen were on the same page at all, which is not saying a lot, because I think a lot of players probably weren't on the same page. But I think that took a lot out of him. I really do, because he came out and he bought in last year, and I thought he came out and he got injured. But before he got injured, he looked like his give a damn was busted. Part of last year as well. So I can't blame him. And usually I get on players for looking like they're not trying as hard as they could. I can't blame them.
Yeah. How do you to compete in the NFL, even if you are a phenomenally good player, you've got to play so hard. I mean, I don't think a lot of people understand how difficult it is out there. These guys are all busting their butts every play. And it's like, if you don't have emotional involvement, even if you're telling yourself like, hey, I got to play hard, I got to do it. It's hard to like do it without. That's why we see coaches like Dan Campbell succeed, because he gets those guys to buy in. And if you don't have that in a situation like this, then you start to see some of the stuff that AK has shown us. And I don't even think it's an effort thing as much as it's just an emotional thing.
About to get to our predictions. If you want to make your prediction on Saints-Bucs, now is the time to do so, because I will be showing them probably in about 2 or 3 minutes as Zach and I make our predictions. Also, looking at it this week, the good news for the Saints is Bucky Irving will miss this game again, so that will limit the Buccaneers offense. They have not been very good running the football. Rashad White is has turned into a goal line and a third down kind of running back, but he's going to have to take another full load. As a result, you see it here. Tampa Bay's rushing offense is 24th. Saints' rushing defense hasn't been very good. They're also 24th. So to me, if the Saints are going to win this game, Zach, they're going to have to do it by stopping Tampa Bay's running game and forcing, and Godwin and Evans aren't playing. So, I mean, you're going to have to force Baker into making some bad mistakes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's got to be the game plan. It is funny, the way the Bucs just, I mean, Emeka Egbuka has been great, but like they've got these other young kids who just come in and are better than any receiver the Saints have on the roster. I think it seems like
they do. Who was that kid last week?
Trey Jackson, is that his name?
Trey. Yeah, he played at who did he played? I'm drawing a blank now. He played with Gabe. You can tell me. He played with somebody that's really good and showing it right now. Tez Johnson played with Bo Nix. Yeah, I knew he played with somebody really good. So, and I saw that last week, and I'm like, who is this kid? And he came out of nowhere. He was fantastic last week. So, it's going to be an interesting there. But the Saints' passing defense has been okay. 12th. Will Chase Young make a difference? Will we finally call his name plenty this week? Because I think they're going to, for the Saints to be successful, they're going to have to call Chase Young's name a lot.
Yeah, he's got to get back there. And like Baker Mayfield, even going back a couple years when we thought the Saints were better than the Bucs. Isn't that funny to think? But we did think that Baker Mayfield all of a sudden became this guy who was really, really, really stinking difficult to get off the field on third down. And that's, you need guys like, that's Chase Young's thing, is he gets pressures but not sacks. At some point, you're going to have to turn those things into sacks. And that's I agree. That's a huge key. And again, Baker did not look good Monday night. He did not. And I don't know if that's just a Monday night thing where he didn't have a lot of his guys around him and he'll be fine. But I'm curious to see how he plays.
Hakeem wants to know if Velus Jones is back on the roster. They did sign Velus Jones off the practice squad back to the active roster a couple of days ago. So he will be playing this week. All right, it is just about prediction time. Before we do that, I made this slide, so by God, I'm going to show it. Just the schedule, and we talked about potential and I don't want to get into the whole Rattler thing again, but just potential spots and 2 road games after this. The interesting thing about this more than anything else to me is, and people don't realize this sometimes, but here we are on October 24th. The game is on Sunday, and after this week, the Saints only have 3 more home games remaining the rest of the season. That is ridiculous.
It's crazy. You got another month. You got, I think, 4 full weeks. November 23rd is the next one, and then you've got two right there before Christmas, and that's it. I
mean, first of all, that should not be legal. No team should ever play 6 of their final 9 games on the road. They got. And I'm not on this all year long. And I no means am I doing NFL conspiracy thing. I don't mean that at all. I'm just saying I think probably more than likely they just fit them in any way they can, and they don't even look at them, and they say okay, and they just make sure that no one's playing like 4 out of 5 on the road or something like that. I think 6 out of your final 9 on the road is absurd.
I think that they probably have certain rules that they put in the computer that no team can have. Certainly 6 out of 8 or 7 out of 9 or something. You can't have that. But as long as it spits out a schedule that follows all of these rules, you're going to have. I don't have the energy to go back and look. I'll bet you there's been teams that have had 6 out of 9. And 6. Oh, I'm sure 6 out of 9 is a little bit misleading because you also have your bye week in there. So you're really on the road. Home and even would be 5 and 5. You're really only on the road 6 out of 10 weeks. It's only 1 off of even if you count the bye weeks.
I mean,
I just don't think
I think it's absurd. I just don't think it's fair. And look, I get 100%. I agree with you. They put it in the computer. These are the rules, and this is what the computer spits out, and then they just go with it and move on, and maybe move a couple games around here and there for TV purposes. Says I want this game this week or whatever. Other than that, they probably just go with whatever the computer spits out. But they need to spit that into the computer as well, because 6 out of 9 at home. And if your team was a competitive team, I mean, if your team was really good, they had to play. That's a competitive advantage. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, the Saints don't need to worry about competitive advantages right now, but a competitive disadvantage.
The other thing I would say is that outside of the trip to LA, which is the first one, none of these trips are long at all. I mean, like, what is the longest trip? Miami. They're absurdly short trips. So that's a small part of it, but I just don't think it's a big deal. I really don't. And I don't think the players can afford to think it's a big deal either.
You don't think a lot of things are a big deal.
Focus on what's important, man.
Okay. Yeah. All right. This is what's important. Our picks. It's prediction time. In fact, before we get to prediction time, what do we got for here from some of the Saints fans? And I'm interested to see. I don't want to go too far back. So if I don't show it right away, I know Tom had one, and I might have missed your LSU prediction, so I don't want to miss your Saints. Well, live TV, I can't find it now. Tom, you'll have to type it in again. All right. UBN says the Fighting Bakers 31, the Aints 17. Chad Gage says Tampa Bay 31, Saints 20. Rat 225 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 turnovers. That looks familiar. And missed passes due to accuracy issues. Okay. What else we got? I know we got quite a few more here. Yeah, Bart Prudhomme says Saints lose again, 27-9, and 2 missed field goals. Brian Steve says 27-16. Bucs are a pass funnel defense, which doesn't bode well for the Saints. Lance says Baker did not look good. I'm assuming he means last week. Let's say blah 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 blah. Tom, there it is. Homer, he says the Saints win 24-23. Who dat daddy's not here, so we don't have anyone else to pick the Saints. Also, Black Preacher Man's not here. He usually picks the Saints. He's not here. So it's time for our picks, and we've been on the
10-win guy. The 10-win guy's picking them by default now, right?
He's got to. Lance is here, so I don't think I saw a pick from Lance. Oh, maybe I did earlier. I think he picked the Saints already. I think I showed it earlier. So Lance, if you did, I can't remember. Type it in again. All right. Zach Ewing is picking.
I got a low scoring game here.
Oh yeah, Lance says 30-20 Saints.
Okay, yeah. I got Bucs 20, Saints 13. I think that, it's Jim, you and I had all these conversations last year about Eric McCoy and how much he meant to this offense. And in the end, you were right. Like they had a lot of trouble without him. Now, I don't think it was all because of him. They also lost their quarterback 2 weeks later, and some other guys. But Eric McCoy is clearly very important to this offense. We saw Cesar Ruiz play a lot better when he had McCoy in there. I think that's an issue against this Bucs run defense, against their pass rush, against their front seven in general. I think that Todd Bowles can kind of throw the kitchen sink at Spencer Rattler. I actually think the Saints defense will play okay. And more to the point, I think the Bucs will be pretty conservative here. But ultimately, this is kind of one of those, we haven't had one yet, really. Like every game has been kind of entertaining as far as scoring. And I think this one might be the first one where it's just sort of like the Saints have trouble getting anything going. Not to say that they would get shut out, but my favorite bet, if you're asking me for a bet from this game, Saints team total is 20.5. We really think they're getting to 21 points. I find that to be, barring a turnover, a kick return, short field, something like that, I think 21 points is way too much for the Saints to expect.
Michael Morgan agrees with you. He says Saints lose 31-14. Same team every week. Nothing has changed. Apathy says the Saints defense is so bad I'd be shocked if the Bucs only score 20, even with the wide receiver injuries for the Saints. Lance says Baker throws a pick and fumbles, Rat stays clean, and Alvin Kamara goes off. Oh man, Lance. Come on, man. Look, I
love the optimism.
I don't know if it's okay that you're still sleeping at 12:17 on a Friday afternoon. You probably should wake up before noon. I used to sleep till noon back in the day, and I miss those days so much. But
I could not sleep to noon if you told me I could have $1 billion if I did. I would have to like drug myself. I couldn't do it.
You couldn't do it for $1 billion.
I mean, I would stay in bed, but I don't think I could actually sleep.
I couldn't do it anymore either. And I've tried many times. I mean, I've tried. I can't. I woke up at 6 this morning. That's crazy for me. But anyway. All right. Christopher Crump says Saints 28, Bucs 20. I think they'll play really well after last week's miss. Black Preacher Man, he's here. Salute. Saints 23, Bucs 21. Groupie with the late field goal. No time left. I saw somebody. I don't remember who said it, but somebody said that Groupie's going to kick a 63-yard field goal earlier to win. I didn't show it because you were in the middle of a thought, and I think we might have been talking about LSU at the time. Anyway, so. And Lance, the Saints have been better at home than on the road. That is absolutely true, but I think that's all over. I think the Saints get whooped. I think I'm being nice when I say Buccaneers 30, Saints 17. I almost made this one of my best bets of the week, but I kept remembering in my head what I tell Gabe Henderson all the time: keep your home team out of your best bets. So I did not make it a best bet, but like you said, with 13, I almost went with 30-13, and I'm like, I don't want to be too similar to Zach, and I did change. I got to be honest. So I gave the Saints another touchdown, and I might regret that later.
I will say this, and one of the reasons why I think you're right when you tell Gabe that not to pick the teams you're close to as your best bets, because you have a tendency to see too much from one side and not the other. So let's take a minute. I know there's a lot of optimism out there. Here is the path for a Saints victory. This is let's look at this from the Tampa Bay side. Tampa Bay is coming off of a really difficult stretch of their schedule. They went to Seattle, then they came home to was it San Francisco? They came home to play. Then they go to Detroit on Monday night. Now they're back. They go back home, come back on the road on a short week, and next week is their bye week. Yep. So this is a situation where, if there is ever a week, that's why I think Godwin and Bucky Irving and all those guys were declared out so early in the week, because it's like, well, we're going to give them the bye week. We're giving them the bye week to recover. We don't want to bring them back and risk it getting worse. And on top of that, we're playing a 1-6 team. Like I just think there's a lot that points to, again, especially in a division game. Every NFL team is trying to win every game, but I do think this is a week where the Bucs take a step back and say, let's just try to get through this one with maybe less than our best, because we have the bye week next week. We just came off a difficult schedule. We have a cushion in the division. So to me, if I was going to build a case for the Saints, that's the case I would build. And I think it's possible that the Saints pulled this upset off because of those reasons.
Here's part of my thing, and I don't disagree with what you said, but had they not lost last week, had they upset Detroit last week in Detroit, I might feel a little bit differently, but I think they played awful. And when you're talking about good teams, I say this all the time. When a good team stinks it up one week, I think they find a way to have extra focus. It doesn't always work out that way. Good teams do sometimes lose 2 in a row. Good teams sometimes lay an egg 2 weeks in a row. It doesn't always happen that way. And like Lance says, Evans was a big deal for Baker. That's true, but Mike Evans has missed plenty of games. Lance, he's missed plenty of games, and Baker's been fine when he's not there. I love this young receiving core, and I think Tampa Bay's defense is good enough. But look, here's my number one takeaway from this game. And I'll go back and put our predictions up as we kind of finish up here. But my main thing here, Zach, is this. And I touched on it earlier, and I'm going to bring it up to finish the segment. I think that Todd Bowles is, as much as I think he lacks overall as a head coach, I think he's a really good defensive mind. I wouldn't go as far as say he's a defensive genius, but he finds ways to create things. He does a really good job in game of making adjustments. He always has. And he showed that last year in both games against Spencer Rattler. And I think the adjustment's going to come before the game this time. And I just think that Todd Bowles is going to know how to defend Spencer Rattler. And I think that they're going to put a lot of pressure on him. And I think that Rattler is going to have, as much as I want to see him rebound again, I don't want to see Shuck start in LA, his first start in LA against the Rams. And I think if Rattler's terrible, that's what's going to happen. But I just think Todd Bowles is going to have a number dialed up for Spencer Rattler because he knows how to play him as well as anybody.
Okay, definitely could be. I mean, having said that, in both games last year, Rattler played fairly well in the first half of those games. The first one, he was helped out by some special teams and defense stuff too, but he was much better in the first half. But I also think
that was also his first start, though, and nobody knew what to expect.
Correct. The offensive line is a little bit of a problem right now. I mean, Luke Fortner, who the Jaguars were going to cut, is now your starting center.
Yep, that's a problem.
It's a problem, and I do wonder if there's something to what you're saying about Rattler pressing a little bit, and if that happens, there's going to be turnovers, and I worry about the offense, man.
I especially worry about a young quarterback pressing. It's one thing if you're talking about a veteran who's been in situations. Every veteran that's ever played quarterback has been in situations where, they go in a funk and they know how to get out of it. Or they have a bad game and they know how to shake it off. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Spencer Rattler knows how to shake it off because he's really, even though, and I know it sounds silly to say about a quarterback that's 1-12 in his career, but he's never really been, to me, in my opinion, he's never had a game that he's played as poorly as the one he played last week, and it had to shake his confidence.
To his credit, he has not looked flustered too often this year. I think that's one area where he's really improved.
He's handled himself very well.
But we're going to find out. We're going to find out how much of a factor that is this week pretty quick.
He's handled himself very well, and look, he has a chance to really show people something this week. They don't have to win. Saints don't have to win for Spencer Rattler to show me something that, look, I can, he can get off the deck and pick himself off the deck because he's going to have to move. Whatever they plan, they're going to have to move. He's going to have to move around. I'm not saying he has to run a ton, but Zach, he can't just try to be. He can't. I don't think he has great pocket presence anyway, but they have to have designed rollouts for him this week.
Yeah, I mean, maybe so. He one thing he's proven to be very good at is he does extend plays and move the pocket and things like that on his own. I think that's one of his strengths, and so that could bode well for this offense. But I'm, again, with the offensive line the way it is, a Bucs defense that I think knows they probably have to carry the team this week, I think it could be a long day.
Yep. Well, it'll be a long day, and you and I will get to spend it together. I will see you Sunday afternoon. in the dome.
What's your plan, by the way? Are you getting down for noon so you can just sit in red zone for 3 hours? Because I know you're going to miss it driving.
I will probably get there earlier than I normally get, but I'm not going to sit in the dome for 3 hours before the game. So not that early. I mean, that's kind of crazy. But I will get there early, and we'll turn the red zone on. I'll probably get there at 1-ish.
All right. Well, I will see you then.
See you then. Zach Ewing, everybody. And look, Zach and I have been pretty much on the same page a lot this year. We're kind of on the same page a lot all the time, but our scores maybe not lined up as they have been recently. As close, they're a little bit off this week, but I think we had the same kind of thinking in mind. Let's see. Where are we going here? Oh, Lord. Melanie, I don't really understand what you're saying. So you need to clarify your comment, and then maybe I'll show it. I don't get what you're saying. So redo that for me. Rob says, with Kamara playing like he is, it wouldn't surprise him to see Rattler get a bunch of carries or at least attempts. I said this before. I've been pretty successful with this. I like Rattlers. Gabe, before we come on, and it's going to be like a minute, if you could just find if that's up, if Rattlers over under yards are up, I'm going to tell you right now, I like Rattlers over yards. That if I were to do, I don't love, y'all know me enough to know that I don't do a whole lot of player bets. I'm not a player prop guy. I never have been. They're too easy to be weird, and they don't do enough to let you bet unders. But they always want you. Everybody wants to bet overs. But I would say that over I do like. Over under yardage I do like. 17.5. Oh, I definitely like that. That's a bet. That you can put that one in, and we don't allow that in our pick 'em. But no. You like Rattler, Melanie Michael? Okay. Well, you better enjoy watching Rattler play the next week or two, because you're probably not going to see it anymore after that. That's just a guess. I don't think you're going to see Spencer Rattler more than like 2 more games. And if he has a really bad game this week, it might. Oh, I like Rattler? Or you're saying, I don't get it. I don't understand. Anyway, probably got about 2 games left. Ernest Johnson, last comment before we move on to the pick'em. Personally, I feel the play calling and the play structure needs tweaking in a variety of ways. Dennis Allen defense knew every play, no changes from the last 4 to 7 years. Ernest, the thing is this, with the play calling, you got to remember, Kellen Moore is 37 years old and he's a rookie head coach. He's learning as he goes along. People expect Sean. It's not Sean Payton when he came in here as a rookie coach and he had all the players and all the talent. Kellen Moore is coming in here as a rookie head coach with, he's got like 26th or 28th rated talent. Sean Payton probably had middle of the pack or slightly above middle of the pack talent, and he had a he had a future Hall of Fame quarterback that he didn't know at the time was going to be a future Hall of Fame quarterback. So it's different. You can't expect the guy who's coaching his first season to come in here and get right over. He's got to figure things out. Okay? He's going to figure it out. So you just let's give Kellen, let's pump the brakes on. I know, and I get it. I understand why. And I don't think he's been good either. I think he's had a really rough start to his career. That being said, Kellen Moore is going to be this team's coach for probably a decent amount of time. And I don't think he's done anything that leads me to believe that he can't be a good coach in this league. That's just my opinion. All right. It's time to move on. And it's time to move on to I know it's not everybody's favorite segment of the week, but it's my favorite segment of the week because we have fun with it. Oh, hold on. Sorry. There we go. Are you happy? I don't think your mic's on, Gabe, by the way. Talk. There we go.
There we go.
And there you go. It's my favorite segment of the week because we have fun with it. And if you haven't been watching, I'm just going to tell you. All right. You're missing out. And I know I keep saying this, but I keep saying this because I think some of y'all are clicking off and you're not getting the full fun of this show. And look at those records. You know, I'm 14-7, UBN's 12-9. Gabe is 8-13, but it's like the River Parish Gator. His business stinks, but it's picking up. There he goes. He's 2-1 last week. Our point differential wasn't very good because all three of us had one big time clunker in our picks, and it is what it is. What's going on this morning, fellas?
I want anybody in my life to believe in me as much as Lance believes in the Saints.
Hey, I love it. I want to be as optimistic about life in general as Lance Dobart is.
I mean, yeah.
Let me just.
That's not a joke. I am 100% serious when I say I want to be as optimistic in life as Lance Dobart is on this show.
I don't have to buy a Saints jersey now. That's good.
No, it's not official yet.
It's official.
It's not official.
Yes,
it's not official until it's official.
You can take it out your cart. But
exactly. It's not official. By the way, just because you won last week, Gabe, I'm going to give you the gift of all gifts. And you know what that is? Do you know what it is?
Actually.
We told you earlier we will let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. And if you want to know how they do it, you've asked a great question, because after their complimentary evaluation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanians Nick Braden, Ronnie Melton, the folks at Evangeline, they will begin an extensive auction process from among established private equity funds from around the whole wide world. They'll maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities, the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area, and none, I mean none, with their dedication and success. They are fully licensed and ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important. And it's not whether Gabe's cart is full or whether Lance Dobart's heart is full. What is really important, Gabe Henderson?
The rest of your life.
Absolutely 100% accurate. And you can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Tom says, with this record, we need to evaluate everyone on the team. Looking forward to see Shuck and Neil in the backfield together. It will happen at some time in the near future. All right, boys. The pick'em, look, and I say no one deserves fire, even though we were a combined, 5-4, which is above 500, and that's what you strive for. We shouldn't be bragging again because our point differential stinks, and the guy with the fire was a -1.5 points because he had one really lousy.
Might be the worst pick of the year.
What was it?
No.
What was it again?
It was Memphis.
Oh yeah, Memphis. Yeah, that's the worst.
And I knew it was a little risky with the big number, but I didn't think there was any way in hell they'd lose that game straight up.
All right.
I mean, that is an inexcusable loss.
We all had, because I had the Ole Miss Tulane and Jim had Houston Baltimore.
No. That was 2 weeks ago. I had Browns Dolphins, which was crossfire against Gabe.
No, I'm saying our worst picks. I was saying our worst picks of the year.
Well, I don't know. Browns Dolphins was pretty bad, and I have informed Gabe. And if you're a regular on this show, you'll know what I mean when I say this. I have told Gabe that if I ever pick the Dolphins, he has the absolute right to say, "I am not going to let you pick the Dolphins." He has every right to say that if I ever pick the Dolphins again.
If you pick the Dolphins again and they lose for you again, you need to dress up as Coach Gucci.
Oh, God. Now I'm definitely not.
Joggers,
the
Gucci,
whole fit,
vest,
yeah.
everything.
Definitely not happening.
All right,
let's
joggers.
Let's get to the picks. And the way we do this each week, we each make our 3 best bets of the week and be college or pro. If we win, obviously, it reflects on our record. But the points that you see there is our point differential. If we take, let's just say we were going to take the Saints this week, okay? And they're 4.5 point underdogs, and the Saints lost by 1. You would get a +3.5. If you take the Saints and they lost by 14, you would get a -9.5. And there you go. That's all of our scores from added up for the season. I retook the lead. I took the lead back.
Thanks to my Niners, you took the lead back by 1.
I don't care why I took it back, but I did take it back. And it's time for our pick segment this week. And I will say this. I said it earlier. There is one pick out of y'all's 6. There's no crossfire, but I have made one of the 6 picks this week also my own, and I didn't know it until after I picked it. All right, here we go. Gabe, you are first. I'm going to let you just go off. You've got Northwestern getting 7.5 against Nebraska Cornhuskers in a Big Ten game.
The Fighting Greenies and Mike Wilborns.
Yeah, I like the way Northwestern's playing football right now. And then if you look at Nebraska's schedule, while I've been high on Nebraska, I have their over win total in the season. I don't know if they lose this game. I wouldn't say they would, but I think Northwestern keeps it close. Nebraska's had 5 opportunities this year to beat a Power 4 opponent by 7 or more. They've only done it once, and that was Michigan State. They just haven't looked convincing in any of their wins. Patrick Mahomes Jr.
Is there anything more weird than that dude doing that?
No, it's incredibly weird.
It's like it needs to be investigated.
Yeah, it's really weird.
It's weird. I mean, he does.
The FBI
like
he's
got a poster on his ceiling in his room.
By the way, Daryl Hayden is wanting to know Devin Neal's rushing yards in the props. It is not in there yet. It will be, but it's not there yet. There you go. All right, moving on. Your next pick is the Philadelphia Eagles. First pick, you're getting 7.5. This one, you're giving 7.5. The Eagles, who lost to the Giants 2 weeks ago, are now playing them at Philadelphia. Eagles are a 7.5 point favorite of the Giants, and you are taking. Oh, don't worry, Daryl, it's coming. And you are taking the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, do you guys know the last time the Giants won at the Link?
I do not.
Any guesses?
Was it Eli?
2013.
Eli. Oh, that's definitely Eli.
Lost 12 straight by an average of 11.75 points. So the Eagles are 12-0 straight up in that span. 57% of the public at FanDuel, because BetMGM for whatever reason doesn't have the numbers up right now, so I went to FanDuel for this. 57% of the public
everybody's gonna be
is on the Giants to cover 7.5. I think this is a game the Eagles are pissed off about what happened a few weeks ago. I don't think the Giants are as good as everyone thinks they are. I think the Eagles are going to dominate them in this game.
Giants with a Denver hangover, maybe.
I think that game last week hurts them big time. Like good teams, I think that sort of thing helps them. But when you're not a good team and that kind of crap out, and you give away a win when you're not going to get that many of them anyway, I think really hurts you. So I hope you're right about this, because the Eagles is one of my 2 remaining knockout picks. And then your final pick, and I got to say.
Speaking of knockout picks, I love them, but how soon before Scatterbo gets knocked out?
I don't know, man. That dude's tough as nails.
I saw someone
post 2 yards into the end zone to hit somebody.
Someone posted on X, what do you think Scatterbo thinks about when he's in a room alone?
Oh, God.
He thinks about bashing his head against the table.
Yeah. How could he get out that room without going through the door?
I don't know, but this last pick here for Gabe, I am waiting to hear the explanation, because I don't understand this pick. Cowboys, Broncos over 50.5. And I know that last week was a big one. I know the Cowboys can put up points, but I don't know. Vance Joseph's defense, it's in Denver. Vance Joseph's defense has been pretty good.
This is just vibes. I think Dallas has simultaneously the best offense and the worst defense in the league. I think Denver is. I think, and you clip this moment because you don't hear this very often. I think Bo Nix is going to have a really good game here. I think he's going to destroy Dallas. And then Dallas, when they've got their fully healthy receiving core, George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, you can't stop them. Pat Surtain can only cover one of them. So I really like this pick, even though it's. I debated it for a while. I didn't know what to do with my third pick. I kind of had a devil on one shoulder and the angel on another. The devil was saying, hey, pick against the Texans, pick against LSU. And then the angel was Jim saying, no, don't pick with your team. So I decided to go with this pick. This is what I landed on. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be fun. I think Dallas is just a walking over. They're 5-2 to the over this year.
I hear you, but this is about the squarest pick I think we've ever had on this show. And for those of don't understand what I mean by square, Google it when you say square and betting, and you can figure out what I mean. Basically, what that means is, Gabe just talking about going with the Eagles. The public's all over the Giants. Well, I don't know what the number is, but you got to think the public's got to be all over the over in this.
I'll see if BetMGM has it.
Cowboys Broncos game.
On it.
I'm not Hey, look, I'm not going to bash on it too bad because Preacher Man is saying worst pick between all of us was Gabe picking the under in the Baltimore Texans game. I also, you know what was worse?
If you watched the Texans offense this year,
Preacher Man, you know what was worse?
On Monday night
in that game, I picked the Ravens. That was a way worse pick than picking that.
Yeah,
all right.
Actually, I'll tell you. Oh wait, whoops, sorry, wrong game. Never mind. Keep going. But no, that's if you've watched the Texans.
All right,
offense
hold on.
This year,
you can look it up while we make a transition and do this.
Uncle Picnic, can we make some picks today? Well, can we please?
You like Chauncey Billups using an unfair advantage.
I almost wanted to do it twice. For those of you who don't know,
time this week.
UBN has been terrible when I play that song, and I'm trying to hold the lead, damn it. UBN 1-2 last week, minus 16.5, and he's starting off with a flurry. He likes to fight in Lamar Jackson's, giving 6.5 to them Chicago Bears.
If this team's that bad without Lamar, he should win the MVP every year. Like, think about it. I mean,
you got a point.
I mean, it's just
you
insane if that man means that much to that team. But it's not only that. I'm going to go to my little trusty notepad here. Their losses this year have came against the Bills, the Lions, the Chiefs, the Texans, and the Rams. It ain't like they losing to bad teams. They're just losing and giving up a lot of points. Their next 6 games, they got the Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, the Browns, the Jets, and the Bengals.
So you're saying they can get right?
I'm saying they can be 6-5 when they hit December. So, I mean, I really think this team's going to turn a corner here.
Maybe Gabe will have to buy a Ravens jersey.
Why? What did he say about the Ravens?
Nothing, but if they win 10 games, he should have to buy a jersey of whoever wins 10 games. They got the same amount of wins as the Saints.
But do we think the Saints are going to turn it around?
I'm just saying.
No, but the Ravens now have better odds to win the division than the Saints did at the beginning of the year when everyone's record was.
That's true. It's plus 145.
I just think this team, this is where they turn the corner. The Bears are going to come down to reality on who they are. They're getting a lot of people back. It's just going to be
who we thought they were.
Yeah, I just could see this being one of them Baltimore 31-10, 38-10 type games that you see them do.
All right, you going back to I told you to stay in your lane. You usually do. You haven't been doing great when you're getting out of your lane, but going back into your lane, you got Mizzou over 52.5 with the Fighting Doors.
Yeah, I mean this is just a straight out shootout game. I see it being with Pavia, and the Missouri offense is really good. I mean, Vanderbilt's averaging 41 points a game. Mizzou's averaging 39 points a game. So I think this number is kind of low with that. I could see this being just one of them SEC shootouts that you get at I don't know if it's an 11 a.m. or 2:30 game, but just one of them shootouts you're going to see.
And then lastly, you're going against the golden rule here on Dattitude.
First time this year.
Taking the home team or just picking the home team, a game that involves the home team. You got LSU getting a 2.5 against Texas A&M Aggies.
I just have a gut feeling, it may be gas about this game. If Brian Kelly loses this game and then has to go into a bye week, and that's all we're going to have to hear is
it's going to be a nightmare.
It's going to be insane. This is just one of the type of games where I think they're going to come out. You're going to learn a lot about LSU right here. Like what's going to happen here is going to tell you how this team feels about Kelly, because it's going to be, if they lose this game, it's going to be really bad in Death Valley, especially if they losing early and everybody's going to leave.
I agree. I like the pick. I don't think I could put it in my best bets. All right. Drum roll, please. What do we have in common? Which game did I pick that y'all picked? Because I'm going to start with that one, even though it's not
the Baltimore one.
In the left. You are correct, sir.
The Baltimore
I know I'm correct.
It is the Baltimore one.
And I know you're not taking the Denver over.
Well,
I know how you feel about the Bears.
Here's the thing. Last week, speaking of the Bears, you saw the absolute best of a Dennis Allen defense. You know what his defenses can't do? They can't cover mobile quarterbacks. And guess who's back? Dennis Allen hasn't stopped the mobile quarterback since I think like Fran Tarkenton back in 1967. Oh, wait, Dennis Allen wasn't born yet. He can't stop a mobile quarterback. And the Ravens are primed to go, as you said, on a nice little run. I wrote a little note here. Incredibly, just I couldn't believe this number when I looked at it. They're plus 145 to win the AFC North. And I agree with you 100% that they're going to go on a run. That's price is way too ridiculous for me to actually put money on it. There's no value to put money on it there. In fact, there actually might be value in the Steelers, who are plus 125 and have a 3-game lead. However, that being said, I wouldn't be surprised at all the Ravens don't lose again until December. And I think they're going to whip up. They're going to take frustrations out on them Bears. And I don't know. Caleb Williams is not very good anyway. And I don't know that the Bears will be able to run against the Ravens. We'll see. All right. So going back. Okay, well, maybe so. Maybe I should have took that over. We'll see. All right, going back to my first game here. In Bills, -7 over the Panthers. Sean McDermott is not only 8-0 following a bye week, he has won 4 of the past 5 games after the bye week by double digits. The Panthers have been playing way, and I mean way, way, way over their heads. I said they were better than people thought, but they're not this good. Okay, they're okay.
You don't like the red water pistol?
No, they're not 4-3 good. And whether it's Andy Dalton, Bryce Young, I don't care. Right now, Bryce Young's questionable. It's probably going to be Andy Dalton. Who cares? The Bills are tired of hearing that maybe they're not as good as people think they are, because that's all they've been hearing for the last 2 weeks. They got just whooped up on by the Falcons, and they've lost 2 in a row now. They're going to come fighting mad to Charlotte, and it's going to be an ass whipping. I don't think it's kind of going to be close. I think the Bills are going to whip up on the Panthers, -7 over them. And I don't know if I've taken an over under this year. If I have, maybe only one. But I really like the over in the Packers-Steelers game. I really wanted to pick the Packers here. Call it square, call it whatever you want. I wanted to pick the Packers here, but I backed off a little bit because, Aaron Rodgers, one thing that he's kind of done is when he has incentive to play, he's been pretty decent. In the games where he doesn't necessarily have a beef with someone, he's just been okay. So I think this game is going to kind of go back and forth. Meanwhile, the Steelers are going to have a tough time stopping Jordan Love, who also has something to prove, facing his old friend and quarterback. They're not friends, by the way. And he should be able to do it against the Steelers. Have the 31st ranked pass defense in the NFL. That means second to last for those of you mathematically challenged like myself. And so I think this is going to kind of go back and forth. And I don't get this number, 45.5. That's awful low to me. I might not have taken it if it was like 48.5, but 45.5. I think you're just giving me.
28-20. I mean,
I would just like to say that it is kind of funny that you called my pick the most square pick.
I didn't call it them. I did. You see, hold on.
No, you did. You said it was the most square pick ever on the show.
I did not say most square pick. I said on this show.
On this show.
Most
but
square
it is not.
Pick.
66% of the people are betting the over in my game. Jim, you're going to hate this when I tell you this. 73% of people are betting the over in this game.
Hey, man. Sometimes you just have to sit down with. Sometimes you just have to sit down with your friends, and you just got to do what you got to do. And by the way, it's even worse at the pregame.com. It's 79% are taking the over. He's not going to let me get away with that, Rob. Just not going to let me get away with that.
I'll check it.
Rob wants to know, is anyone taking Gabe's Texans?
Absolutely not.
I like the Texans this week.
You do?
I knew this would. I knew UBN and I wouldn't have this game in our picks, but I knew we would have differing opinions on this. No way I'm taking the Texans with Nico Collins and Christian Kirk out. No chance.
Christian Kirk been out all year.
Yeah, he has. But the few weeks that he did play, even though he didn't get much action, Texans offense.
Just like your team, this is the type of game that San Francisco will come and lose.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not touching that game.
I'm not touching it either, but if I had to pick it, I'd pick Houston.
All right, gentlemen. We'll do it again next week. We're going to do it on Thursday.
Everybody's going to suck. So
everybody good for Thursday next week, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I can't wait for you to see my Halloween costume.
I can't wait. Maybe I'll have one too. Who knows? I'll get my daughters to pick it out. I'll see y'all next week.
Later.
All right, everybody. Fun show. Anybody got anything else to say? Now's the time to say it. Saints, Tampa Bay. I mean, look, and I agree with everybody on what we said about LSU and Texas A&M. I think I don't know if it's the reason why I picked LSU, but I agree that if they don't win this game, I think the rest of the season is going to get ugly. Programming note, I don't know if I told you earlier or not. I think I did. I know I just told you. But next week, Monday and Thursday, there is no Wednesday show next week, and there's no Friday show. I'm gonna take a 3-day weekend next week with a chance because my game for play-by-play for VSN is also on Thursday night next week. So I'm gonna take Halloween off. I'm gonna enjoy it with the kiddos. I'm gonna get away. I'm gonna get away from everything for 3 days. The Saints are on the road next week. I don't have to go anywhere. So it's going to be 3 days for the most part at home. I don't even know if I might not leave the house for 3 days. Who knows? It'll be fun. We're doing shows Mono Monday on Monday, and then Thursday will be the regular Friday show. So we do not have a guest show next week. And then coming up in the future, the near future, the week after that, when Saints-Rams week, LSU is on a bye. Tulane does come back. They play on a weird day, I think. I want to say I don't know. Anyway, Tulane is at San Antonio next week. Both the Saints and Tulane are on the road. LSU's on a bye week. So that week we'll have a regular Monday, Wednesday, Friday show. Then the following week when the Saints are on a bye, we're going to do a Monday show. And then I'm going to take like 7 days off. We won't have Wednesday, we won't have Friday, and we won't have Mono Monday. So that's coming up in the near future, just to let you know. That's why it's important to click the little bell to receive notifications when we go on the air live. That's why it's important, because we are going to have a weird schedule over the course of the next 3 weeks. And we ask you to subscribe and like if you haven't already done so. I hope y'all enjoyed today's show. If you're new here, thank you for finding us. We did not have a dumbass of the week. I know some of y'all are disappointed. I'm kind of disappointed. Huh? Y'all realize that some of y'all take stuff way too personally. I had some people like, hey, he just doesn't like when I disagree with them, and he said, get out of here. First of all, I'm kind of having as much fun with you as anything. I mean, has anybody had a more spirited debates on this show than Gabe Henderson and I? know, and we're still here talking to one another. So when I say something back, I always show whatever you say. Some people get there a little pissy. We're just having fun. That's what the show's about. So we hope you come back and have some fun with us next week. That's right. Mono Monday. We will see you then. But that is going to wrap it up for us on this Friday. I want to thank Damon Singleton once again for his great weather segment. I can't wait to see what next week's weather is going to be like. Again, that big cool front coming through. We might have some really nice weather coming up. I don't know. Who knows? It might be going by next weekend. I don't know. But this is the final weekend of football in October? Yes, it is. The final Saturday and Sunday of football in October. Hard to believe. Anyway, we'll talk to you about that. We want to thank Zach Ewing, of course, for his in-depth reviews and preview of the Saints and LSU. And then, of course, the Pick'em crew trying to stay hot. We are well over 500 as a combined team. If you're not following our picks, you're missing out. If you do any bets at all, just saying, even if it's $5, $10, we're helping you. That's about all I did, by the way. Anyway. Subscribe, all that good stuff. And you can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. And find a replay of the show on NOLA.com/sports. You can find me at bet.NOLA.com. You can find our insiders on NOLA.com/Saints. They also have their own YouTube page. So do our LSU guys. They also have their own YouTube page. Pelicans and Spurs tonight. Wembyana, can they stop Wemby? Can they just contain him a little bit? Can the Pels get win number 1 in their home opener? We'll talk about them probably more next week as well. We hope everyone has a fantastic, glorious, wonderful, beautiful weekend, even if it is going to be a little nasty outside. And we will see you all on Mono Monday. Go Saints, go Tigers. See you Monday. Take it easy, my friends.